Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
In case you all are new around here, I am Hillary Buchholz, and I'm here with Patty Quinn.
Hello, everybody.
And we are the co-founders of We Heart Hounds, and we're very excited. We're starting off the new year with a very special guest as well. So
we are bringing back one of our absolute favorite people on the planet, Jane Bernard from WagWorthy. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love being here. You guys are awesome, and you have a wonderful audience.
Thank you. Well, Thank you. We love them too. And we're so happy to have you here to share all of your wonderful knowledge and tips today. So if you guys are not familiar with WagWorthy Naturals, Jane has put together an organization that makes amazing dog supplements that optimize your dog's health and wellness and lifespan. She's really looking at the whole big picture. And so we have the perfect expert to help our dogs ring in a new year today.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
So as we were mentioning, obviously it's a new year. We're kind of flipping over a new leaf, as it were. And we thought, what better way than just kind of talk about some simple tips and tricks and ideas that we can implement to help our dogs have healthier, happier New Year's and new lives. So, and a couple of them, we have 8 tips that we're kind of going to go through, but these are all really simple. Just, take the bits that appeal to you, but here we go. So I don't know, most everyone, the top of their New Year's list is always maintain a healthy weight or get some more exercise. I know that's always at the top of my list. And obviously that's applicable for our pups as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you. I appreciate that. And the warm welcome. And what I want to say is, as we go through these items that we're going to talk about today, I want you to think about what is a nugget in here. Yeah. Everyone to think about what's a nugget that's actionable, that's simple, that's easy to incorporate, that doesn't involve some kind of big life change or doesn't involve depriving anyone of anything. Right. But it's something that you can add into your routine that is going to help contribute to your dog's health and longevity. And I'm just going to speak from myself and my heart. My dog is, he's my ray of sunshine, right?
Yeah.
And both selfishly and unselfishly, I want him to live a really long time. And that's what I want for all of you as well, is for you to do some simple things that can help extend your dog's healthy, active, and happy lifespan. So as we discuss these different topics today, and just also drop it in the chat, whether you're watching live or it's in a replay, anything that really spoke to you or anything that you want to add into the conversation, because we all have wisdom, right, to add.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about weight, right? Because, nobody loves to think that either they or their dog are overweight. But I'm just going to say, I'm going to lean forward here, because veterinarians say that over 50% of all dogs in the US are overweight. So I'm not going to wag my finger at anybody, because we're all guilty of giving our dogs a few extra treats from time to time. But I really want you to think about, is your dog overweight? And if they are, what are some simple things that you can do, simple changes that you can make? So first of all, how do you tell if your dog is overweight? Can you feel their ribs when you run your hands along their spine? And when you look at them from above, do they have a little bit of a waist, or are they more of kind of a Goodyear blimp, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And so no shame if your dog is packing a few extra pounds, right? Especially it's wintertime, maybe it's cold outside, maybe you're exercising.
Or maybe they're older or whatever, for whatever the reason.
Yeah. And so think about everything that you feed them in a day, right? Because treats count, table scraps count, and hidden secret, again, no shame here that you might not have known this, but dog food companies are in the business of selling dog food. And so on the packaging, when they recommend what you should feed your dog, very often it's a little bit on the high side. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
So think about maybe just cutting back what you're feeding your dog by 10%, right? This is not about deprivation. This is not about putting anybody on a starvation diet. This is just about having your eyes wide open to say, oh, maybe I could break my treats in half. Or maybe I could feed my dog 10% less of what I'm feeding them. Or maybe I should give them just a few less table scraps, right? And just pay attention to what that is every day. And the other thing you can do is you could take whatever you're feeding them in their meals and maybe pull a few of those out and use that for treats.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a great
and
idea.
also, what kind of treats are you feeding your dog? Take a look at the calorie count, because maybe when you take a look at that, you'll think, whoa, that's a lot of, calories.
Yeah.
So there's a really great website called petobesityprevention.org. And they have a chart in there that you can take a look at to see where your dog falls, in terms of, are they overweight? And also some really great suggestions about things that you could do with the food, etc. So if you take away nothing else from our conversation today, think about, where does your dog's weight fall on the spectrum? Because that in itself can make a huge difference in how long your dog can live. So,
and also the quality of that life as they get older, that that extra weight can really weigh on those joints, can really, those are sort of the impacts that it's hard to deprive. So think about how you're kind of, okay, let's figure out a way so that it doesn't feel like deprivation. And also in the long run, this is going to make for happier, healthier.
Yeah, it's the cheapest insurance policy we can ever buy, Yeah. And hand in hand with that is exercise, of course, right? So those two things, and they don't cost money, is keeping your dog slim and getting lots of good exercise. And so if you've got an older dog, or maybe they're a little stiff, maybe it seems harder to get them to exercise, maybe all you do is take an extra walk to the mailbox every day. I mean, that's simple. And it doesn't have to be grand, but keeping them moving is really key.
Yeah.
So one of the things my vet told us years ago with our first dog, who she was overweight, but if I had thought about it, I would not. Neither one of us, my husband or myself, felt like she was really overweight. She was a barrel-chested beagle, so that kind of, when her tummy fills out, she still had that barrel chest, so she looked, like she wasn't a roly-poly, right? But she definitely had a few extra pounds that she didn't need. But one of the things our vet said that I thought was a great idea is either get another dog if you want, or have them play with other dogs, because just the play, other dogs will help keep your dog a little more active than just the sedentary sitting at the couch. I mean, we walked her 3 times a day. We did all kinds of stuff. So she was, she got lots of exercise, but she was still overweight. And it was probably because we gave her too many treats or whatever the reason was. But she just wasn't losing the weight. But I think having your dog have play dates with other pups, or getting another pup, or just kind of being in and around just any of that activity. So even if it's a senior dog that really can't go on walks, or, has a hard time walking, just playing with a pup, even if they're on the ground and the other pup is kind of playing around them and they're kind of throwing a little ball or a toy around and playing tug or whatever, any of that exercise or movement will really help keep them young.
What a great idea. And there's so many dogs right now that need homes.
Yeah. Exactly. If anybody needs an excuse to get another dog, there's one, right?
And along those lines, maybe if it's cold outside and your dog is indoors, you could, take some treats that's in their daily allotment and just hide it, or toss it to them, or toss a ball back and forth. But keep them moving. Like, don't, and if they start to be less interested in moving, that's a clue that maybe they're having pain.
Yeah.
Right? Don't just assume, oh, they're old. And we're going to get more into that later on in our conversation, but pay attention, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, those are all really great things to chat about. So our next ideas, our next tips are also related to weight and exercise a little bit. One is feeding the high quality single source protein that's easily digestible. And you're also recommending proper hydration. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about those two things.
Absolutely. So all proteins are not created equal, right? There are highly assimilable, I stumble over this word every time. Highly assimilable, easy to assimilate proteins and digestible proteins, and proteins that are wholly indigestible. Okay. For example, like beaks, feet, hides, tails, snouts, they're 100% protein, but 100% indigestible. And those things are super hard on the liver and the kidneys, right? Yeah. Also, corn and soy can be hard. You know, they have protein in them, but they are harder for the body to digest.
Yeah.
So think about it like digestion takes energy. And if you feed a good quality protein that's easily assimilated, right? That is easy for your dog's body to process. But if you're feeding a protein that's difficult for them to process, that takes more energy. And that over time, not necessarily today or tomorrow, but over the arc of time, that's going to really put stress on your dog's system. So dogs, I'm going to just go down the rabbit hole here for one moment, but dogs, there are 22 amino acids that dogs need out of protein to function normally, and they can synthesize 12 of those. So here's why you want to think about getting a single source protein. It's probably, and this is a generalization, a higher quality protein, and better
more easily digestible.
More easily digestible, right? And so as I said, asking what I want your nugget of the takeaway for everyone to be today is asking your dog's liver and kidneys to process poor quality protein over a long period of time is not good. So think about it. I'm not, if you feed raw, great. If you feed kibble, great. If you feed, other kinds of, there's great dehydrated food products. That's great. Just look to see where the protein source is coming from. And foods that are single source protein tend to, this is again a generalization, be higher quality.
Right. So if you're looking at byproducts or any of that kind of stuff on the label, that's not single source. And it's not a high quality protein.
Right. Exactly. And then here's the other thing. So the nuggets here are high quality protein, means a healthier dog. And then the other thing is your pet's kidneys and liver can become stressed over time because of low grade dehydration.
Okay.
So when you take, and this is a bit of a generalization, but when you take food in its natural state and dehydrate it down into kibble, you're reducing the water content from like 70% to 12%. And so your dog has to hydrate that food in its gut in order to use, to
break it down.
To break it down and to use the nutrients. And so, hey, I'm not going to diss anybody over feeding kibble. There are really great high quality kibbles out there, but I want to encourage you, if you are feeding kibble to your dog, put water in it, put chicken broth in it, beef broth, whatever. So give them a head start on digesting that kibble before it gets into their system. And think about some things that you can do, like especially in the winter months when it's not hot out and maybe you're not getting quite as much exercise, or depending on where you live. If you live in Florida or something, different story, right? But for those of us that live in cold climates, is think about everything that you can do to get more liquid into your dog's system. So maybe like you could take a Kong and freeze broth inside of it, or I use that, I think it's called a topple, and I put chicken broth in it and I give it to my dog Ollie to encourage him. Also, I have water bowls everywhere in my house. indoors, outdoors. And Ollie has this favorite, for whatever reason, water bowl outside. And every day I make a point of taking him over to that water bowl and encouraging him to drink. And as you know, he's recovering from surgery right now, so it's really important that he's stay hydrated. So anyway, I think hydration is something that is easily overlooked, but it's really important.
Right.
Yeah, one of Hank's favorite, which I love, because not all of our dogs, some of our dogs have been huge water drinkers. Some of our dogs just, you can tell they're not getting quite enough. But one of the things that Hank loves is ice cubes. So it's a easy way to get a treat. He's so excited to get the treat. I can feel absolutely fine about giving him multiples of them. And so it's another one of those, like, that might be it's a reward for them. It's exciting for them if they happen to like them. And it's a great way to get a little extra, just a little bit extra moisture in there.
What a great idea. And so simple, right?
Yep.
I love that.
Exactly.
So our next tip is scheduling an annual veterinary visit for your pup.
Okay. So simple, right? And I'm going to lean forward here. I want to highlight this. I recently heard a statistic by a really reputable veterinarian that said that 50% of all dogs do not go to see a vet in the last year of their life. Wow. That's kind of a staggering statistic, right? And I don't need to go on and on here, but catching things early. Yeah. What is that saying? An ounce of prevention.
Yes, worth a pound of cure. Right? Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I mean, our dogs do talk to us in certain ways, but because they can't exactly tell us when low grade things are going on, catch it early. Again, it's insurance. You know?
Yeah. Especially when you find the right vet. I mean, it's amazing. I actually look forward to taking my dog every year for their annual checkup, or every year for their teeth cleaning, or whatever those annual things are. It's just, it's critical to have other eyes, and I consider them an extension of our family because they've taken such good care of all of our dogs over the years. That why not have experts who are looking for things that I can't see, or I don't know to look for, or what have you. It's invaluable because you get more years, more life, more health out of your pup by doing those things. So when you have a great vet, that's an easy one to do, I think.
It's also different too, because they're seeing them not quite as, like, obviously we're with our pups all the time. So even, and I'm not suggesting that you only go once a year, go as often as you need, but they're also seeing them on a more staggered basis. So they can see things that we've kind of not disregarded, but we've just grown accustomed to the change that might be happening.
That's a great point. Yeah. And that's exactly why we didn't see our first beagle as being overweight, because it happened so slowly. It wasn't one of these things where she ballooned up and we're like, oh my gosh, maybe she should lose a few pounds. It was like, no, that's the way she is. She's just got a big barrel chest. Like she's not overweight. But that's a really great point, Hillary. I agree. So the next tip we've got, actually, there is some really key, it's not one I would have thought of, Jane. So I'm glad you're bringing this to our attention. Keeping your pup's nails clipped. So we actually do go to our vet more frequently than once a year, because they take care of her anal glands and her nail trims like every 6 weeks. So we get to see our vet a lot more than once a year. But keeping your pup's nails clipped is a really great tip, I think.
Yeah, and it's simple, and it's one of those things, like it can creep up on you. And especially if suddenly they become a little less active and then their nails get a little longer. But I just want everybody to visualize in their mind how it would feel to wear a pair of reverse high heels. So instead of your heels elevated, your toes are elevated. Not comfortable.
Yeah. Well, and you're putting all that pressure on those joints and your feet. So
Exactly. Yeah. And, there are, whether you take your dog to the vet or the groomer, or you get a Dremel, or they have those scratch pads
Scratch
now.
pads. Yep. Yep.
Like scratch pads for dogs instead of for kitties, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's simple, and it is one of those things that's really super easy to overlook.
Yeah, exactly.
So our next one is scheduling simple diagnostic tests for your dog once they become a senior.
Yeah. This is, again, this is insurance. And when the age range for senior dogs varies, of course, for large breeds, it starts at, around 6 or 7. For smaller breeds, it might be 9 or 10. And also another thing that comes into play is your dog's breed, how much exercise they get. Like age is sort of a relative. I mean, like age is a state of mind, right? But it is a little bit relative. But again, these are some simple tests that you can schedule once your dog gets to be senior status. And maybe you do these every year, or maybe, you talk to your vet and see what makes sense for you. But I want everybody to think about, these are some simple things that can give your veterinarians, these tests tell a story.
Yeah.
And so they can indicate if something that is awry before it becomes a full-blown red alert, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, and they're not hugely expensive. So there's something to think about. And I, now that Ollie, my dog Ollie, has hit senior status, he's going to be 9 in March. I do these every year. So the first one is a CBC, which stands for a complete blood count. And essentially what this does is it measures the red cell blood count and the white cell blood count. So if your dog has low red blood cell count, that's indicative of internal bleeding. Low white blood cell count is indicative of an infection or cancer. And it could be, really subtly low, and it's simple to get them back on track, right? Before it becomes an issue. The other one is known as the second one is a blood chemistry panel. And basically, in a nutshell, this is going to tell your vet how your dog's organs are functioning. They look at things like liver enzymes, kidney function, blood protein, pancreatic function. Again, like if your dog has had low scale dehydration for a long time, their kidney functions could be off a little bit. And just by getting them to drink more and maybe changing their food a little bit, you're back in business. Your analysis will measure protein content, pH, and look for crystals in the urine. And that can tell a story about whether your dog is starting to develop diabetes, kidney disease, bladder stones, prostate cancer. And then the last one, and this is probably the most expensive of these, is chest x-rays to look at, evaluate the heart's lungs, a little bit of the spine. And this can point your vet in the direction of, like, is your dog starting to develop some heart issues, or are there lung issues or allergies or even some kind of cancers? So simple tests, and don't be put off if your vet recommends them. Know that they are a tool in the toolkit that can help pick things up early once our dogs get to be seniors.
Well, and it's nice to have that baseline too. So you've done it the year before, you can see if there's been a change, that you kind of need that sort of a high level overview of how things are going, especially when, as they get older, there's more things to kind of catch. So having those baselines throughout a number of years will really help.
That's such a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
And our last and final, and probably save the best for last, tip is giving our dogs healthy supplements to help them live longer. And years ago when I was young and healthy, I mean, I guess I'm still healthy and a little bit older and healthy, but when I was young and invincible, and we all kind of just think, I don't need anything extra in my diet. I get everything I need, even if I'm not eating right or whatever. It's something I'll need later or whatever. what I've learned over the course of We Heart Hounds and talking to people, and even my own experience with supplements, is they actually can work, and they can. I think science has gotten better. The manufacturing process has gotten better. Hillary and I kind of talked about even taking our own supplements years ago, and you get an upset stomach, and you just don't even want to take them anymore because the side effects, don't make you feel any better. They may actually make you feel worse. But I think so much has been done to improve the digestibility and the effectiveness and all of that of supplements, not only for ourselves, but for our pups, that it's really something important to consider, even at an early age, for our dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. And I'm going to talk today about our hip and joint supplement. So the company that I founded is called WagWorthy Naturals. And here is...
Yay! I love it.
Here's our product. And I want to encourage everyone to think about starting their dogs on hip and joint supplements before they actually show issues. And again, I'm going to lean in, insurance policy.
Right.
Cheap, moderate cost, but an insurance policy for the long term. And so here's the thing. Here's a good thing to know about dogs is many of them are wired not to show pain. When you think from an evolutionary standpoint, right? You showed weakness that made you vulnerable in a wild population.
Right.
So I don't know if anyone has experienced this, but I've definitely had dogs that all of a sudden were less interested in going for a walk or a hike, which was really puzzling to me. And then, my vet explained that's an evolutionary program. The dog doesn't want to show that he's in pain. He never limped. He never complained. He never whined. He just all of a sudden lost interest. And so by starting them on a quality hip and joint supplement before they start having issues can go a long way to helping them stay active and engaged as they age, and really help their mobility. So the other thing to know about osteoarthritis is once it sets itself up in your dog's joints, there's already a certain level of damage that has happened. And it's I'm going to geek out here for a second. It's a really negative feedback loop because they move less and nutrients are pumped into joints. Do not have their own blood supply. So they need movement to pump in healthy, the building blocks and the nutrition to synthesize more healthy collagen, cartilage, and joint tissue. So it becomes this really negative feedback. So if you can prevent and delay the onset of stiffness, arthritis, and mobility issues, that can lead and help your dog to be healthy and active longer. I'm also just going to touch in our product, we also include vitamin C. And so vitamin C, dogs naturally produce vitamin C, but as they age, that vitamin C production diminishes and dwindles. And vitamin C is not only about helping your immune system, it's also a cofactor in the production of healthy cartilage, healthy collagen. And it's a powerful antioxidant. So think about, and actually there are veterinarians out there that prescribe vitamin C when your dog is going through cancer treatment or surgery or something that's a big stressor. So vitamin C is important not just for us, but also for our dogs as well.
Right.
So we also include a lot of powerful antioxidants, which are really great if your dog is healing from injury or surgery, if your dog is aging, or a lot of our clients will say to us, oh, I started giving my dog your product and all of a sudden it's like he got this incredible boost of energy and he recycles more quickly from being active. So that's the antioxidants that are in the product. And in addition to a hip and joint supplement, I highly recommend fish oils. Really great for coat. It's great for heart health. It's great for connective tissue. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. I take it myself, but it's a really great supplement to put your, to start it early. That's not something you need to wait until older at all.
Right.
I'm going to take a breath here so you can ask a question.
You bet. Well, thank you. We've got Kathy chiming in. Thank you, Kathy. She says, so educational. She's been using WagWorthy as a preventative for her high energy, hard running 10-year-old. Oh my gosh, 10 years old. Yay. German short hair pointer. Just want everyone to know that WagWorthy also puts a super shiny coat on your dog. That's so great to know.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kathy. That's really helpful information. And if anybody else has, anything to share about WagWorthy, that would be fantastic as well. We love it. We're super excited to tell the world about all the wonderful things that you do, Jane. And thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing tips. Kathy was absolutely spot on. This has been so educational, and we really are appreciative and hope this has been able to start the year for everybody so that their dogs can live, age gracefully and live happier and healthier, not only in 2022, but beyond. This has been fantastic. If anybody wants to get any more information about WagWorthy Naturals, where can they go to find out?
So they can go to WagWorthy Naturals.com.
Okay.
And they can learn more about us. We are a young company, and we're really excited and very passionate about promoting dog health and wellness. And like I said, my dog is my ray of sunshine, and I want that. I want us all, for our rays of sunshine, to live long and healthy lives.
Yeah, exactly. Jane does so much in the world of dogs, not just for her own organization, but for others. And we're just so happy to support you and everything that you do. If anybody would like to give WagWorthy Naturals a try, there's a link below, and you get a coupon code, yay, for 10% off. The coupon code is We Heart Hounds. And so 10% off your first purchase, I think, is fantastic. So thank you again for your generosity with that, Jane. Really appreciate that. So,
my pleasure. It's always such a delight to come and talk to you.
Well, this has been so much fun. And hopefully these are not resolutions that are kind of ho-hum and, oh my gosh, I'll never get to any one of these. I think there are so many that if you just take away one small little tip and, implement that regularly, your dog will be so much happier and healthier, and you'll have a long, happy life together, which I think is the goal for all of us, right? Great. Thank you so much, Jane, for being with us. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.